Quia allows you to create games and activities with your own classroom content that make practice and review fun for your students. In the menu on the left, there is an Activities button. This link will take you to your Activities page, which will appear exactly as your quiz page, but with your activities listed instead. So here are the activities that I have used and created and modified for my classroom. Activities are different from quizzes because you cannot see the results of activities, so you cannot score or grade the students on them or see how well they did. Instead, you will see how much time the students spent engaging in the activities. However, like quizzes, you can search shared activities and copy created material to your own account, where you can then modify it to fit your needs. You can also create your own activities using the Create New button at the top of the page. There are 16 types of activities in Quia. At the bottom of your activity screen, you'll find a key that lists out these activity types. Java games include flashcards, matching, concentration. There's also Battleship, Rags to Riches, which is like Millionaire, Challenge Board, which is like Jeopardy, Jumbled Words, Columns, that's a matching game, Ordered List, even Hangman. That's just to name a few. Each activity will easily fit into a busy day. While many of these activities will work on any device you may have access to in your classroom, there are a few of the activities that only work on Flash-based capable devices. Therefore, you might want to try the activities out first if you are using devices that are not Flash supported. The activities work exactly like the game in the fact that you can use the Shared Activities button to search activities to support your class. So if you go to the Shared Activities button, you can search by typing in a search, or again, you can use the search at the bottom. If I teach mathematics and I want to teach about adding fractions, submit. When I scroll down to the bottom, here's a whole bunch of activities. There's a hangman game, there's a challenge board game, there are columns games, all kinds of different activities that you can copy to your own account. Remember though that a quiz is different from an activity. Those are the ones that are scored. So if you're specifically looking for games, practice games, make sure you're looking for something that doesn't say quiz in the description. You can preview any of the games just the same as before by clicking on them, and it will actually have you play the game. This Play HTML version, if that button comes up and you are working on a non-Flash device like an iPad or an iPod or something else that doesn't have Flash, you can play the HTML version and it loses some of its visual appeal, but the outcome is still the same. It's still a hangman game. If you decide you'd like to copy this to your account, you just go back to Shared Activities, scroll over to the side, copy it, and again it will ask you whether you'd like to continue to go back and search or whether you'd like to at this point assign it to a class. We'll again put it in period 10 and 12 and continue on. If I'm done looking for activities, I have all that I want or enough to get started, then I can go back to my own activities page, and again it'll come in at the other activities at the bottom. So there it is, adding fractions. You can not preview this game. You cannot preview games like you can quizzes, but you can edit the games, and there you can see what questions were typed in. So if those are the hints, this is what's hidden, that's the way the game would come up. And you can add and delete extra spaces at the bottom of any of them. And there are some options that are unique to each game like if you want it to be hangman or balloons or stars. Again, the activate HTML, if you go and copy an activity and you don't see that activate HTML button, if you edit it in your own account, you can activate that so it's useful on those devices that do not have Flash. You can also create a game or activity by using the Create button at the top of the menu. Once you select what kind of activity you want to make, you can easily create interesting and motivating activities for your students. So I think we will create a challenge board, which is the Jeopardy style game, and click Go. And it starts with 2 categories, but you can add, click Edit. Name of category 1. Let's just do mammals, reptiles, amphibians, birds, fish. And I can add more categories, but 5 is pretty standard. So now I need to enter questions for my 5 categories. Just say mammals give birth to babies. And so live would be one of the answers. And the reason you're answering more than one is you want them to have, you want to account for misspellings and things like that so they don't get it wrong. If we put the word live and they typed alive, they would get that wrong because it doesn't match. So you want to try to come up with all possible answers that could be correct that they're going to come up with. And you would just continue. You can change the point value to go up higher all the way up to 1,000 as you go. So we're going to call that one done. And then the last step is to enter the settings, title, and a description. And again, activate HTML and LaTeX, and your identity settings, and done. Now I haven't completed the rest of the categories, so it's not going to let me say I'm done. It's just going to leave them blank. So here's the URL that you can email out to your students, or in whatever way you get links to your students. That's the link you'd want to put in. You can play the activity. You can email the activity to the students if they have email accounts with you or within the district. And then, because the activities are not graded, there are no reports available. However, you can choose to see stats. Go to the living things. So I'm going to go to stats for this one. And it's going to tell me how long each student in those classes, the time they spent practicing. This can give you valuable information about how your students are using the review activities, if they're practicing for a short time, like 6 minutes, or if they're practicing for a longer time, 22. So then you would assign those activities to the classes you wanted to practice them. When the student goes to their class website page, for example, period 10 that I just assigned that to, if I go to that class page, you can see now it has that game, the columns game animal classifications. The students can click on that and play from there. In the next video, we'll look at surveys that you can create with Quia and how they can be used in your classroom.